some of my humanity.
You were in a bank robbery?
I was in a bank robbery.
The Bible calls us to love.
Said that to me again. So that I pronounce it correctly.
Okay.
Pleasant.
No.
Pleasant.
like a pleasant day.
Pleasant.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Bro.
No French. No, I'm not French. I'm from Mississippi.
Because in the back of my mind, I was like, it's probably not how I think it is.
Yeah.
But maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
It's very
And it actually
pleasant.
was. So I was like, then I was like, nah, I chickened out. And I was like, he's from the South. So
Bro,
maybe it's.
Yes. Like deep. It doesn't get any southern than Mississippi.
Oh my gosh.
I'm from the South.
You're from the South.
Yeah, man.
Cheers.
And you know what? Honestly, I love my hometown. I love Mississippi. It made me who I am. God made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But through the cultivating and the nourishment of where I'm from, you know, you learn how to take the good, the bad, and leave out the ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what Mississippi did for me and everything. And, you know, I honestly, I told myself that if I wanted to be something, I never wanted to leave where I'm from. And then I began to think like, man, you know, had I not, I wouldn't have been, you know, exposed to all of the things that God has blessed me to encounter. But I didn't want to be one of those people that just says, you know, there's nothing there, so I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And honestly, God knew that, and he forced my hand, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I really had to go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
At a young age, I not too young, but I was a young adult, but I had to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that that force feeding was there, you know, because had I not, I wouldn't have encountered nearly as many of the things. And not to say that God wouldn't have moved in my life there, but what his plan for my life clearly was to be here, you know. And so we only want to go by his plan because he knows what's best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows what's best. And so I'm just elated and super glad to be here on my first podcast ever in life.
Shout out.
Let's
go,
man.
So wait, what part of Mississippi are you from?
Jackson.
Jackson
Is the capital.
What pastor out here is from Jackson? There's another pastor that was from Jackson. I forgot who it was. He would always talk about it. Man,
that would be a shame if I didn't know who he was.
it might
Bobby.
be. Oh, this is good. Is it Fuller? Is Fuller from?
I don't know. I don't know.
He might.
Pastor Fuller, right?
Pastor Fuller, yeah.
Pastor Fuller.
If it hits me, I just remember as a kid hearing a pastor always saying, Jackson, Mississippi. You know, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
What?
Yeah, like that's the only reason I know where Jackson, Mississippi is because of him.
Yeah, I mean, well, who knows, man? I mean, it's the world is small, and even though it's really, really big, it's really small. And there are times where, you know, I've met people that, honestly, no joke. I've met a person that I worked at a restaurant years ago in Mississippi. I was a dishwasher, and this lady was a waiter in the same time in Mississippi. Here it is, years later, she's working at an Old Navy, I guess, and then I knew her when I knew her. She's working in Old Navy in Auburn, and here I am here, and all of a sudden, one Black Friday, my wife and I were shopping, and we just happened to see this lady, and I'm like, I know you.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't know me? And I said, no, yes, I do. You know, and when I began to talk about how I knew her, we just both realized, all of us really realized that the world is so small.
So small. Yeah, that's so true.
Know? And it's like, what are the odds? So, you know, and so that's why it pays. That's why it pays to just be who you're called to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Any and everywhere, because, you know, God has what I like to call a wraparound type of situation where you may see one person one day, and all of a sudden you won't see them years later, and then all of a sudden you walk up on them and they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a people person. I love people. And I think what it is you want to leave an impression on people's lives. And your idea of what impression you want to leave is totally up to you. You know what I mean? It can be a good impression or a bad impression, but if we're called to be the light, what kind of impression are you leaving?
Don't be a dimmer.
Don't be a dimmer.
Right? Don't be a dimmer.
Don't be it.
So I think I told you I was going to jump into this.
I know
with
you were.
You already knew where I was going to go.
Man. That's why I take a sip of my tea. Go ahead.
So I call you the Renaissance man, and I realized that I'm not the one who coined that. It's funny that you said, like, if God has called you to be something, be that person.
Be that, yeah.
When we had a chance to touch base, I joked and I said, you are the Renaissance man. Some lady on LinkedIn said, like, the Renaissance man, and it just stuck with me, like, oh man, he is actually a Renaissance man. You do so much. But just want to just kind of get into some of the things that you do. And then I want to ask you a couple more deeper questions too among that. But just give me like a rundown of the many different talents that you do.
So one of the things, I will have to say, to start this off, my career, as far as what I'd love to do, I tried to do it with a number of other things. Sometimes life, happens, and you have to learn how to, work the reality and work the dream. Yeah. Because life don't care about what you love to do. These bills have to be paid and things have to be, you know what I mean? You got little ones. You better preach. You know what I mean? And so those aspirations have to sometimes take a back seat. And so you have to either take a back seat or just learn how to work it. And so I did both of them. I went to school for a number of different things. And it took a while for me to find out what I love to do. And I realized that when I started doing dance, I've been dancing ever since I was in Mississippi. Did it in my church. I ended up being a choreographer in my local church. I was over the step team in my church, just doing a lot of different things. My pastor growing up really believed in the healing power or the ministering power of the arts. A lot of people don't believe in the arts, you know what I'm saying? But, when we really think about it, in a lot of ways that Jesus taught, it was very artistic and articulate. It was very intentional. We call them parables. Parables, yeah. But parables was his way, was his pedagogy, his style of teaching. And his style of teaching was so much so that anybody could get it. I don't want to, anybody could get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we tend to shun or shy away from that style, which is earlier I mentioned to you that I absolutely love teaching. I love teaching because I'm able to break down that thing and be able to help people to understand God's word. And so in that same token, bringing it back full circle, I teach dance. I teach movement. And I started out with hip hop. Of course, you got to go with what people love, especially kids. Kids just naturally, they hear a beat and they're just naturally moving things and, and just, dancing and enjoying themselves. There's really any intentions of, doing any other thing but just dancing to the beat, So anyway, I realized that I had a really good talent for that. And God needed to push me in that right direction. So, because I wasn't doing it myself, he had to push me in that right direction. And so I used to work for the bank. The bank was my first job when I moved up here.
A bank teller? A bank teller. Really?
Yes.
I never knew you worked at a bank.
I worked at Heritage Bank on South Tacoma Way, right there on the corner. It was my first job. Yeah. When I moved up here, I didn't work for 9 months. I counted them, bro. 9 whole months I didn't work. And God blessed me with a job that I actually wanted. I legitimately said I wanted to be a bank teller.
What was it about being a bank teller that, like,
people?
You want to be around people.
The people.
See, when I hear you say bank teller, in my mind, I'm like, it feels like it would constrain you.
Right.
Like it doesn't give you that room to create, because money is very black and white.
Right.
Right. Numbers are very black and white.
Right.
So
I didn't get that, bro. I didn't get that until I didn't get it because I was just I guess I was so infatuated with the fact that, hey, I'm constantly talking to people, you know. And long story short, you know, I worked there, and across the street there was, and it still is, director of a ballet company, dance company. It's Metropolitan Tacoma Ballet, Damaris McCaughlin, right there on South Tacoma Way. She was coming in to make a deposit, and I said, I was like, oh, you have a dance studio? She's like, yeah. I said, well, you know, I teach dance, you know, and she just was like, oh my God, you know, and we talked and everything. And she said, I tell you what, if you come and teach, because I mentioned to her, I said, I can teach your kids, you know, dance. She's like, well, there has to be a pro bono, you know, you do for me, I do for you.
Sure.
So she said, if you come and teach dance for me, I will, if you come teach dance for me, you would have to do ballet as well. So I said, so that's the kind of pro bono we got going on? Fine, cool. You know, any way you bless me, Lord, I'll be satisfied. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so I did ballet dance, you know, with Damaris McCaughlin, Metropolitan Tacoma Ballet. She is a very devoted Christian. There were pieces that we had done, like Celebrate His Birth, you know.
Yeah.
And then also the crucifixion, where we actually brought to life through movement these separate events in the Bible, which are monumental in the Christian, you know, world.
Yeah. In a ballet form.
In that ballet form.
Dude, do you realize how big that is? Like, you're a black man teaching ballet.
Yeah.
Not just doing ballet, but teaching ballet. And then also bringing in, like, any influence that you already come to the table with, like clashing the culture.
Yes.
And then being able to really, like, even showcase the gospel. Like, when you were talking about parables, like, one thing that I think people don't realize is that Jesus was very creative.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, when you think about, like, till this day, every preacher, every sermon, everything, we are still trying to chase, like, we'll preach 45 minutes, 35 minutes, an hour long, trying to chase what he was able to do in a short parable.
Oh man, come on.
You know what I mean? Like, it takes what, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes to read a parable, and there's so much jammed and packed in there. And we are like, we got to give you like 35, 45 minutes just to really even try to step on the doorstep of it. So his level of creativity was just like, it wasn't boring.
Right.
So when I think about like what you're doing with ballet, like mixing that in with the culture, like even just learning it and being able to teach it and then showcase the gospel through art.
At the same time.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
Jesus was a carpenter, man. So you know, carpenters were creative and artistic people. You know, I don't know if we understand, but carpenters just wasn't putting buttons on sofas or, you know, putting knobs on chairs.
Yeah.
You know, they were in charge of creating what was that they saw out of a hunk of clay or a hunk of wood. He was creating.
Yes.
And so he's constantly creating things in our lives. I mean, when you think about our lives, it takes a master of art to be able to create the stuff that to bring us to the place where we used to be and where we are now. It takes an artist to do that. It takes. You got to look at the artistic process.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Talk to us about that.
For somebody to be able to take a whole block of ice and look at that block and say, you can't see this, but oh my God. And so that's what he does with us. And so bringing it back full circle, you know, when it comes to what I do, man, I was teaching dance. I was working with Damaris, you know, for a number of years, being faithful at what I was doing for her. But then all of a sudden, you know, I started to, my life started to move on and move forward. And you know, I had gotten married. I married to my ex and everything. And so, you know, life happened, man. And we just continued to just thrive and do what we do. And I was barely teaching. I wasn't teaching as much, but I was still teaching. And it was along the lines of teaching dance within the ministry. Within the ministry, I was within the ministry, and God had blessed where, people needed choreography lessons, or they needed to, for me to do a song for them and do this or do that. And that's what I was doing along with my ex. We were also doing that thing, and God had just really just was completely blessing and still blessing. You know what I'm saying? But what I started to think about was, man, maybe I need to just get out on my own. And so I did that. I, end up formulating a business plan. And I thought about what it was that I needed to do. What does our community need? And I began to think, okay, well, they have so many different entities of arts, performing arts centers. And the majority of the people that I know who, Black, brown, and, people who are minorities really don't have the finances to take their kids to experience something like that. No indictment, we just don't. We didn't. And so the Lord laid on my heart to say, well, you know what? Maybe you should go to them. And I said, okay, well, I prayed on it. This was years, maybe about a year or so later, I prayed on it and everything. And I got together, and in my mind, I said, okay, well, this is what I can do. And the Lord just said, just do this. I want you to write out a plan. I want you to put together things that you do, activities with the kids as far as teaching. And I want you to go to a daycare and pitch it to a daycare. Now, mind you, our daycares have a lot of, unfortunately, minorities, and not just minorities, but people that just can't afford to take their kids to, maybe a ballet company or a dance company, because, truth be told, if you take them to a dance company, if there are no scholarships involved, then that person's going to probably end up spending like $500, $600 a month.
$600 a month?
It's probably worse than that at times.
Wow.
And I mean, that 600 or 500, it could be where it's involving, uniforms and things of that nature, travel, all of that. The things that other people who can afford it, right?
On top of daycare.
On top of
a daycare. Like $1,400 a month. Right. Absolutely.
So this is what I said. The Lord said, go into a daycare and offer them movement classes. And I offer them movement classes based off of what their parents, they can't, they can't do. And I offer this as exposure to the arts, because some people have never been exposed. I mean, they play music and everything, but as far as the creativity of just learning how to do the arts and learning how to just dance and learning, not just dance, but movement, you know what I mean? Just getting out of their own way. A lot of our kids lack that. And so the Lord laid on my heart to go into this daycare. I went to the daycare and I pitched it to them, and they liked it. And then I went to another daycare. So I had about maybe 2 or 3 contracts between daycares where I was, doing this and doing that and everything. And,
are you still at the bank now, or did you leave?
No. Let me back up. Sorry. Thank you for keeping me there.
No, you're good. Yeah.
I had gotten robbed earlier in my career at the bank.
You got robbed?
Yeah.
Wait, someone came in and robbed the bank?
Somebody came in.
You were in a bank robbery?
I was in a bank robbery.
This just got crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Wait, how do you leave that out? Do you realize the amount of people who have been in a bank robbery?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably higher than I think, but still, like, I have never met someone who has been in a bank robbery. You got to break that down, and I'll bring us back. But you got to. I need to hear that story.
Bro, listen. So at that bank, that area is like prime. It's just people are always moving all around. You know what I'm saying? Not prime time for crime and everything. It's not that. But because anywhere you go, it's crime. You can go anywhere and it's crime. But I was there. And they had just told me, talk to all of us and say, hey, make sure your cash drawer totals. Cash drawer totals are basically when your cash is like too high to be in the drawer, right? And so they tell you, okay, you need to get rid of some of this cash, because we can deal with somebody stealing $1,000, but we can't deal with somebody stealing $36,000 or all of this money. So anyway. I had just gotten a bunch of merchants that come in and just, make deposits and everything. A bunch of merchants came in and they all of a sudden came to me. I was counting money everywhere. I was like, oh my God, I had so much cash. And this is where God looks out for us, because he knows what we need when we need it. He said, close your window down. Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to get upset. Tell that person to go somewhere else. Okay, cool. They went to another window. I closed my window down, sold the cash really quick, got rid of it, put the money away, opened up the window. How are you doing, sir? He slipped me a note.
No way.
Right there.
And he had like a gun in his pocket?
Yeah.
Like pointing at you?
Yeah.
What did the note say?
The note says, give me the cash, capital, now. And
did he have a mask on? Or?
He didn't have a mask on. He kind of looked like he was dealing with some substance abuse. But there was other people working with him, because the way he came in was just super organized and just kind of interesting. Yeah. It didn't really fit his, whoever he was. It's almost like somebody sent him in to just do the dirty work, and he just, Yeah. Anyway, me thanking God that all of that money had left my till. Yeah. I just gave him what I had. I gave him a tracker. I gave him all this other stuff, the dye pack or whatever. That
stuff's real?
That stuff is real.
Snaps.
And they tell you how to strategically do it. And you know what God led me to ask him? I said, are you comfortable? Are you okay?
Wow.
He said, I'm fine.
Did he look like he was really fine though?
No. He looked like he didn't have a choice.
Oh, wow.
But he really did. But he looked as if he was at the end of like his rope.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a choice.
Like he was hopeless.
And that's why I wanted to stare in his eyes and stare in his soul and say, are you okay? You all right? You good? He was like, yeah. So never been in a robbery, never plan on being in another robbery, but that one. But that was the only thing that it baffled me, because at the end of this robbery, you know what he said?
What's that?
Thank you. What? You got a gun? Hold up. Flag on the play. Bobby, you got a gun on me?
He said, thank you?
Thank you.
Wow.
Because I was like, let me just take this money. I'm about to give you. I wrapped it up with some paper, tried to
Did you say you're welcome?
No. I did this. I hit that button.
Oh, the emergency.
I hit that button, and then I called my boss. She was assistant director across the way there. She was sitting at her desk, minding her business. Everybody was minding their business. We're not the only people in here.
Yeah.
So I called her and said, Lane, I just got robbed.
Wow.
Stop playing. She sipped her coffee. I said, a tear. I said, oh my God, closed down. And next thing I know, you got cops pulling up everywhere, shooting down the road. It was real. It was real. They told me to get away from my space. They have to dust for fingerprint and all this other stuff.
Dude, this is some serious stuff.
It was serious.
It's like the stuff you see on TV.
It was serious. So I couldn't bounce back from it because everybody that came through the door of the bank, I automatically felt like they were going to rob me.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. They could have been the sweetest old lady. Anybody. A kid. I'm always on alert.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bounce back from it. So, and then I started making mistakes. Excuse me. Making mistakes. And I said, I can't do this. And that was, like I said, the artist and his plan. He was working in the background. And so I ended up leaving from there, working at Harkness Furniture down the street. And I did that. I worked there when I was 21 years old, still in good relationship with them, love the family. And so and in the process, I was still teaching dance and dancing for Damaris at Metropolitan Tacoma Ballet. And I throughout that, I ended up just gathering all of the tools I needed to be able to teach. All right. So slowly but surely, like I said, getting back to me with my business and everything, I had the daycares and everything, and I got hooked up with, my contract was up for the daycares, and I ended up going to another daycare, which was Multicultural Child and Family Help Center.
Yeah.
Went there under the direction of Gail Neal, and I was there I was going to pitch. I pitched a proposal to them, but at the time there was something that happened where she had just lost her. They had just lost their mom, and so I just realized it wasn't a good time and everything, and so I just left. And I came back maybe about a number of months, and Gail showed me around, and I ended up doing the contract with him. Summertime, a couple of weeks, not much, and in the process still doing other things. Fell in love with the place. Miss Gail fell in love with what I do, and cornered me one day and said, "I want you to stay here with me. I want you to be here with me, full time and everything." By then, I'm like, "Hey, look, I can't be, and I need to be taken care of." She's like, "I'll take care of you." So I, lack of faith, and as we grow, our faith gets stronger and stronger. But a lack of faith just allowed me to just not be. I don't want to be caught up with that, because some people tell you that they're going to do things, and no offense, they let you down,
Yeah.
And that's why we have to put our trust in God and not man. If God laid on their heart to take care of you, then He's gonna, if He brought you to it, He'll see you through it.
That's
in other
right.
words, and I don't want to sound too cliche-ish or with all of these different phrases, but it's just truth. It's the truth of the matter. And so, man, I ended up working, still, not going to work for her. I was working for Pioneer Human Services, worked for them for a number of years, until finally I just saw Miss Gail again, and she said, "You're going to come and work for me."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, I'll think about it." She called me or texted me the night after I saw her and said, "I'll take care of you. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it." She said, "You design and create whatever you want to do for these kids." So I created my job description. I created my job title, all of that, and just started doing it. And man, before you know it, it went from here and it just shot
took
up.
off. Yeah.
Just took off. I linked up with another nonprofit agency called Arts Impact, where we infuse arts and learning. We go into the schools, and with them, I'm actually not a Renaissance man, but I'm actually a artistic mentor. And what we do is, when you think about a mentor, you think about someone who is mentoring young men or young girls, to be better in life or to be something else in life, But we mentor teachers, educators.
Interesting.
Reason why is because a lot of our educators are only teaching kids one way.
Yeah. And it's easy to just continue down that cycle of one way of teaching. And if you're teaching one way and not creative or innovative,
Indeed.
like how can you expect new innovation to come from the next generation?
How?
Yeah, go ahead. That's good.
And in order to be able to teach, the one word in teach is each and reach. You got to be able to, you got to be able to teach and reach each. You got to reach all of them. And so if you're doing it the same cookie cutter way, because you were never exposed artistically to anything other than that way, then think about it, there's a percentage of our kids that are being left behind. I begin to think to myself, now, wait a minute, when I was younger going to school in elementary, I had an issue with learning as well. You couldn't just tell me 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
You had to sing it or show it to me. I was very, visual. I just couldn't, and most people think, most kids, I'm just dumb. No, you're not. You just have a different way of learning.
Yeah.
Jesus saw that people wouldn't just get it if I said I was born through a Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
Or if you come to me, you can be born again. Nicodemus.
Yep.
He said, how can a man, I don't get it. How can a man be born? And Jesus had to break it down, man. Like, you wouldn't just feed your baby a huge steak. You gotta
break it down. Yeah, and he even told him, he was like, if you don't believe earthly things, how can you believe and understand spiritual things?
Come on, man.
It's complex, but I mean that, John 3, that whole chapter, we are still breaking that chapter down more and more even up till today. I mean, there's so much within that. Even understanding, like, when he talks about the Spirit, moving like the wind. He's like, you don't know where the wind comes and goes,
Right.
but he's painting a picture.
He's painting a picture.
So
bro.
again, he's going back to that creative mind that he had to be able to create a picture to show us and to teach us,
so we can understand it.
Yes.
So we can understand it. And so that's where I am with the teachers. And I have had it has been an amazing journey. It's been a blessing because a lot of teachers I'm a very vibey person, whereas I feel those vibes, and it's not really a vibe, it's a spirit that's behind certain things and certain energies, you know what I mean? Like if you walk in the room and all of a sudden you're just like, whew,
Yeah.
it is everybody all right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just feel that?
Yeah.
Well, I've walked into some settings where it's just like, who are you to come and mentor me? Now, they never said it, but the vibe and the setting and the way it feels.
Kind of just felt it.
I felt it. Like, why are you coming to mentor? I don't need help with teaching my kids. Numbers don't lie. Yeah. So a lot of people feel like they are the best educators. And this, don't get me wrong, this is not knocking educators, because what I do, I need to be educated myself at times. People need to pour into me so I can pour into them.
Yeah.
But every little bit helps.
Yeah.
And sometimes all a kid needs is to find that one teacher that's willing to sing or dance during class.
Yes.
And to go outside, get beyond the desk, walk away from the podium, get out and express. Jesus wrote something in the sand, artistically wise, looking, he did things, man, and to help people understand. And that's what my job is. I want to be able to help. Not only that, but when I teach, the way I teach, man, my style is I'm very celebratory. I congratulate kids. I congratulate adults. Good job. I see that move that you did. Do it again for me. I love what you just did. Let's celebrate them.
Yeah.
Superstar clap, explosive. That's the kind of stuff I bring to my classroom setting.
Yeah.
And the kids, honestly, it's not, and it's not just kids. I want to just say that because if an individual don't really have the confidence to say something, like if they're in class, they don't have the confidence to say the right answer or the wrong answer, they won't say anything.
That's right.
And there is no success there. It's stagnant.
Our growth.
No growth.
Yeah.
No, it's stunning. So it's very important that, come on, think about it, man. When you're in basic training with the military, they do drills, chants, they're marching, they're singing. Why? Because it gets that soldier's mind ready for battle, for war. So artistically, if they can do that, we can do it too.
That's right.
And that's what I do. I on that end, I go into the schools and I help mentor the teachers to help teach the kids. And the other end, with Pleasant Movement, I just cultivate the confidence, man. I gather the adults, the kids, and we just get together. In some cases, I'm going to start doing here family nights where families will get together. Yeah. All the kids, all the adults, and we just going to dance together.
Oh, I love that. I need to know when that happens. I don't know if you know this, but we have dance parties in our kitchen all the time. My kids go in. I probably go in a little bit more than my kids. But no, I love that. It's funny you said that. I think it was, I don't know. We heard that song, Israel. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's a catchy. Yeah, right? I just want to say, I love it.
Man, all right. So when I heard that song, I was like, I wish someone would actually. I think I said this to you. I was like, you should do a ladies' day or something where like you get the women and they just dance to this song.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's so much music out there, like gospel music that actually has this great like beat to it. But when I heard that, I was like, dude, all I want to do is dance when I hear this.
Yes.
So I love the fact that you're doing that, dude. That's gonna be so life-changing for so many things. You're gonna have kids see their parents have fun. Yeah. You're gonna have parents be able to enjoy moments with their kids in movement, which is something that we don't do a lot in our communities anymore. You're literally creating a culture of unity and community, especially if they're going to do it with other families as well. Like that is just like hands down 10 out of 10. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I need to know when it happens. Can we go?
I got you,
all right,
bro.
We're going. We're going. I mean, it's like literally I can see my Lincoln just going around in circles.
Yeah.
We haven't quite figured out the whole dance movements yet, but
well, man, I just realized that, in a lot of cases, we have to get out of our own headspace. We just got to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I don't get in trouble with Nike. Just do it.
I'm pretty sure they won't.
But then I'm going to add, who cares?
Right?
Just do it. Who cares? Because honestly, the problem is we care too much about what people think.
Oh, can you touch on? Can you stay there for a little bit? Yeah, can you go there? Go there.
We care about what people think too much, and rather than they don't have anything or any place to put you in. They didn't make you who you are, but we care about too much with what they're thinking. And that's the reason why a lot of people just won't do it, just won't dance, just won't move, which is the reason why when I teach, I offer my classes, I offer creative movement, creative music and movement. Because usually when you say, come be a part of my dance class, what? I don't. You know what I mean? That whole demeanor. I don't know if I can. And then depending on what generation you were born in, I don't do no gyrating. Wait a minute, man.
Yes.
Who said anything about that? Who?
If your hips are moving, it must be evil.
Got to be. Lord have mercy.
He said gyrating.
Gyrating. How do you even spell that? I don't even know.
This is how I know you grew up in the same church environment that I did. Like, there's certain words we can throw out there, and I'm like, we don't use those words anymore, right. But they did.
They did.
And
I promise you, the way they said it, that gy sounded like it had about 5 eyes
at
on
least
the end of it.
Gyrating.
You're not gonna be doing it now. Where I went to, my church and my church home, growing up, my pastor, like I said, he really believed in the arts, and he sent us out to get trained on how to be able to praise God through the arts.
Can you say that word again? Train.
Because
I think that's a
lacking.
missing key.
It's lacking.
Piece. Yeah,
it's lacking because people they don't really glorify God with their bodies. When you notice a lot of dancers and then praise dancers or whatever, they don't really glorify God with their bodies. In other words, when they move, the attention is not directed to Him; it's directed to them.
Oh, come on!
And so, in a lot of ways, a lot of the motion brings the attention not to Him, but to them.
Yeah.
And so, the way I teach dance and the way I dance, and the way I move is all of that attention goes away from my body and it goes to Him. Even when I'm teaching, not just in the church, but out there in the community.
Yeah.
My movements are glorifying Him.
Yeah.
I don't have to say it. They see it.
Yes.
Yes. And it's bringing, gosh, man, here we go, Bobby. It's bringing the clay back to its natural form of what it's supposed to be doing.
It's giving God praise, giving God glory. Even the rocks will cry out.
Period, man. It's and that's why I feel like that the struggle is there, because so many times the enemy knows that if we can just get in a position where we can just praise God and don't care about what people think, then that boosts our confidence. Right? That boosts our confidence and lets us know that, you know what? I think I can live this life.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be all right,
Yeah.
Movement is life, brother.
Come on.
And people are wondering, we look at David. David danced before the Lord. Mm-hmm. And of course he got ridiculed,
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
By somebody he cared about.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't matter, because he told her that, listen, this wasn't for you. I'm sorry, boo-boo. This wasn't for you. This was before the Lord.
Yeah.
Who, this is what David said, who picked me to be king over Israel,
mm-hmm.
over your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That somebody completely missed that. But sometimes God will pick you to do something over somebody else. And because you're celebrating it, they can't understand it.
Yeah. And it's bad because I feel like when that happens in our communities,
Mm-hmm.
we don't celebrate each other. Like, we don't celebrate when someone, God has put a calling or a blessing on their life to do something good. It's more like, oh, well, God hasn't called me to do something like that yet.
Right.
Or how come I haven't arrived to that point?
Right.
Or how come I don't have that gift and that ability or that talent or whatever the case may be?
Right.
Or how come you get to just sit there and dance and all this? And I'm like, I'm struggling.
Man.
I'm struggling. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, it's like, again, I like what you talked about, but dancing being toward God, right?
Yeah.
Your expression goes toward God versus saying, look at me.
Right.
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 I love that. Like, I love that. And so, I mean, I haven't seen it too often, at least not up here. But when we were younger, we used to have a lot more praise dancers.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I took ASL in school. So like,
Nice.
Yeah, man.
American Sign Language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started out, when we started out back in Mississippi, the name of our church was Faith Community Fellowship. Pastor Donald J. Anderson, may he rest in peace. He was an amazing man. His wife was amazing, Rose Anderson. They were great people, and they just believed in the arts, like I said. But we started out doing American Sign Language, and then we also started out doing Hebraic dance.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
a new one. I don't know that one. You got to break that one down.
So in Hebrew, there's a style of dance, right? There's circle, they dance in circles where, you lock arms and they kick. Yep. Hebraic. There's tambourines involved, right? There's banners, flags involved. Hebrew.
Yeah.
And when you really look at and do some deep studying in dance when it comes to the Bible, the Levites, the tribe of the Levites and tribe of Judah, these tribes were in charge of the praises of God going forward, right? And so they had things in place to be, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. They just didn't go out there marching like an army, but they actually had things in place.
Yeah.
The arts, instruments, trumpets.
Yep.
Come on, man. So God, it hasn't changed. Now, we change because we feel like it's not working no more.
Oh, that's a good one.
We change because we feel like
That's a good one.
It's no longer working.
Come on.
But at the same time, it's still working, bro.
It's still working.
It's still working. And what we have to do is we have to stay relevant. And what I mean by that is, Kellogg's cornflakes. We single parent home. My mama brought home Kellogg's cornflakes all the time. I don't want cornflakes. I want some frosted. Give me.
You
some
gotta get the
Frosted
frosting flakes.
Not even. Can I have maybe some Fruit Loops at one point?
Ooh.
But
Two sides of the track on that one.
Come on,
Two
man.
sides of the tracks. It's frosted or nothing.
It's frosted or nothing.
Frosted and Honey Nut Cheerios. That's it. That's all we do.
Bruh. But cornflakes?
Yeah.
So
that's
here's my revelation on that.
no sugar. It's just messed up.
Watch this. These cornflakes have always been the same tasting since day one, right? And one would think that out of all these years, they would have actually shut down business because they're just regular flakes. People are still buying them though. And the reason why is because they're staying relevant. Now, the package of the cereal changes all the time. It changes because of the Olympics. If you look at it, it changes because of the NBA, because of different things. Why? That's called staying relevant.
Yeah.
So the content of the box stays the same, but the outside of the box stays relevant to the time. So when I talk about praising God and when we talk about the word of God, we keep the cereal the same, but the outer part, people are getting mad at because they're like, well, you ain't, you're not doing it the way, but we got to stay relevant.
Yeah.
When Jesus came on the scene, Jesus didn't talk about he talked about what was happening now, the injustices now that was taking place.
Yeah.
He came to fulfill the law then.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about what happened at the Red Sea with Moses. He referenced it because he knew the word. As a matter of fact, he was the word. But he dealt with the relevancy of what was happening then. And as a minister of the arts, I deal with what's happening right away. I go to a classroom, whatever that culture of that classroom is, I deal with what's taking place right then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some things, sometimes the classroom may not need to deal with confidence. They may need to deal with discipline. And so that's where I am, and that's what I work with. You know what I mean? And so I ended up, man, just doing that for multicultural, working there, and I worked there for about a total of 9 years.
You've been there 9 years?
I was there for 9 years. I recently moved on, and now I'm just contracting now.
Yeah.
Contracting now, but I was there for like 9 years total.
So you have this this event that I saw. I saw it on LinkedIn that you put it up a few months back. Mm-hmm. It's like an annual event.
Yeah.
Right? And I saw the video, the promo video.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, when I saw it, I was like, this dude is living life. He is and he had the whole crowd moving, had all the kids on stage. Could you give us just a quick shout out to what that is? Like, when does it come up?
Okay.
And then how do people find out contact information for you, like a website or anything like that?
So, Multicultural Child and Family Help Center, of course, they're a multifaceted agency, right? And during the time of COVID, they're in the process of getting ready to get into a building, all right? And of course, you need resources to get into a building, especially a multi-million-dollar building, where and we're talking about being there for the community. It's a community-based organization. If you've never been there, I would encourage you to go and just allow them just to take you around and to visit and see what they're doing there. It's a blessing, man. I got to say. But I linked up with them, and I ended up seeing that there was a need, and it's, anytime you go places, you want to know where the need is, right? And I saw that the need was for them to have more space. What can I do to do that? Well, they were talking about, Miss Gail had come to one of my recitals with the kids. I did a recital for my company, and she enjoyed it so much that she wanted it done there. She had been telling me day one, I need you to do what you did with your company for mine. I want you to do that. I hear you. I called her mom. I hear you, mom. Okay, I hear you, mom. And she's like, but I want. And so finally she was like, it's happening. I was like, yes, ma'am. All I need is a badge. Give me a badge, and I'm cool. And that badge says that, okay, you're running this show. Your vision is what you do. And so I prayed to God. I was like, Lord, okay, here we go. These people are depending on me. Here we go. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do with this situation? How do you want to? And God says, okay, well, with any company, there's always the people that are always seen. But I want to spotlight the people that are within the company, the inner mechanisms of the company. Because so many times, nobody sees the person making the wheel. They only see the person standing in front of the wheel.
Ooh, yeah. That's good.
And so God was like, I want to show that, showcase that. And so he said, I said, okay, well, we got a lot of stars in that bad boy. He said, that's it. Give them a night with our stars. So I called it a night with our stars. The first one we had, I was trying to figure out a place, a venue. Money was scarce because we had to do fundraisers. And this was a fundraiser. So in order to get money, you got to make money to make more money. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I formulated it, man. And the first one was at our church in University Place.
Yeah.
Our church in University Place.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really cool spot.
They got a nice spot for
nice spot for it, man. I fell in love with it, with the stage and everything. And we had it there. It was amazing. It was great, right? It was $61,000 at one night.
Wow.
With those kids there, made $61,000.
Wow.
So of course, I'm already thinking about the next year.
Yeah.
The following year we had it again. That's what you saw with the slide. And it was just a big situation, man. Big situation. Can I use the bathroom really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I know this is really random. 44 years old. I drink too much tea. Okay. So give me I know this is a podcast. Can I do that? This is a podcast.
You can actually go use the bathroom, and don't worry, we can cut it.
Okay, cool.
Like we'll post edit. Don't worry. You just come right back, act like nothing's going. No, you're good. I'm gonna start it with that clip right there. That's the one. That's the one. Right? That's the one we're gonna start with. You mind if I use the bathroom?
I'm sitting there talking like,
I gotta go.
Bruh, this 44-year-old body right here was like, you better get up and move before we have something else to talk about.
Oh man, no, that's good, dude. It's
a first.
That would have been the first for sure.
Oh
man.
Anyway, as
so
I sip some more tea.
All right, so what is the website to your organization?
My organization?
Yes.
It is Pleasant Movement at GoDaddySites.com.
GoDaddySites.com.
GoDaddySites.com. I can leave you a QR code with my business card and everything. So
I'm gonna put it up on there.
Yeah, that'd be great. But that fundraiser just kind of took off from there, and so I dropped the ripple in the pond, and from there it's just kind of been growing. I recently, and this is just you're gonna hear it first, I'm recently starting to look for some property. I found some property that I might be renting.
Yeah.
To have my classes out of, because that was my ultimate goal. I mean, when I was younger, I was contracting, I could actually, do this and everything, and I still can, but you can only be nomadic for so long. Yeah. Where it's like now I want this to be my home. Mm-hmm. And so Gail Neal and the multicultural family, they are absolutely amazing. But I mentioned to her that as a parent, no parent raised their kids to stay home. Even though sometimes they circulate back. Yeah. Eventually, but it's never their intention to raise them up to stay home. Yeah, to go. They raise them to go. That's right. Not only to go, but to grow. Yeah, that's good. To be better than what they were. Yeah. Right. And so that's my ultimate goal, man, is that just to be better. So, at Pleasant Movement, we will be offering vocal lessons, piano lessons, as well as creative music and movement sessions, right? Because you do all those things. Yes. AKA why I said you're a Renaissance man. I know a little bit about a little bit. Let's just play a quick game, just real quick. Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask you a question. Just say true or false. Are you ready? I think so. All right. Can you dance? True. Can you do ballet? Maybe not as limber as I used to be, but true. But true. Okay. Yep. Have you ever sung in front of people? Yes. Have you ever made a music video? Yeah, man. Where you getting at with this? There's more. Have you ever done spoken word? Yes. Wow. Look at this. All right. Have you ever, let's see, do you play any instruments like the piano? Mm-hmm. You play the drums? Oh boy, yes, a little bit. A guitar, bass, anything like that? I can fiddle with the bass if I sit with it long enough. Me and your wife were talking about this earlier. That if I sit down with it long enough, I can probably do a little something with it. Yeah. Give me one string. I think I can make it do what it do. You can rock with the one string. Just with one string. So you said earlier that when God calls you to be something, be that. Yeah. It sounds like he called you to be a Renaissance man. I hear you, man. I hear what you're saying, bro. So are you accepting today that you are the Renaissance man? Lord Jesus. I mean, if all those things were true, all I'm saying. I accept being, you know what? I can accept being a Renaissance man as long as God's hands stay on me. I love that. I know I just went super deep. No, that's good. Because I went to a place in my life where I kind of strayed away from him, but not really away from him. And to the point where I felt like I can do it on my own. And he showed me, all right, go ahead. He took his hands completely off of what I do. And I just ended up being just as loud and shiny as that cymbal back there. And that's all the good. That's the only good I was. And so my prayer always is to always be effective. I always want to affect my environment and not affect my environment. Because some people, they can come into a sector of or come into an area or environment, and they can leave it worse than when they went there. But I want to be a blessing to just, I don't know, man, just to be, that beacon of light for a person. You know what I mean? And not just a person. When I get home, my family celebrate when I come home. We're happy. laughter, dance,
Yeah.
joy,
Yeah.
you know, not, excuse my French, hell and craziness, you know, then whenever you come around, it's like you were in the elevator full of people and you just let out.
Come on. Clear it out. Crop dust everything.
Crop dust everything.
Got the whole room.
And when you leave, they're holding their nose like, oh my God, never invite them back.
No.
I don't want to be like that.
It's just,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never want to be like that. You know, don't get me wrong, because the word of God is quick and sharp. But my growing up, my first lady of the church, Rose Anderson, she had a way of, and I know you can agree with this, but she had a way of correcting us through the word of God in such a loving way that you're smiling, and before you realize it,
you feel it.
I'm bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel it's like, man, wait. Oh,
Did she cut me?
did she cut me? But it was so nice feeling though, you know what I mean? But after a while, you're like, she's absolutely right, or he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal, man. And when it comes down to my teaching style, my pedagogy, I'm really all about intentionality and organic and being real. You know, there are moments, you know, when I was at Multicultural, you know, working with the school agers, we did a dance segment in the morning. You know, I had my music and movement class there in the morning times, and it was really to get the kids up and moving so that when they get to school, a lot of the behaviors that they have in the schools, they won't take place because they don't have anything. Yeah, they worked it out. They don't have anything to regulate and work them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have that hamster wheel. You know, they're just, you know what I mean? And so that's why I did that there. But, you know, as opposed to then and now, I'm really just ready to just make my mark in society, you know. And it's not just with kids. You know, I was invited to Gig Harbor by the mayor to be a part of a staff meeting. So basically, you know, any and everybody that works for the city of Gig Harbor were invited to the staff meeting, and they usually invite guests. And so they invited me out and to do a movement segment. And mind you, dude, these are like a bunch of just like city workers, dude with, you know, cord hearts and boots and, you know, guns and, you know, because these are detectives and you know, and I'm like, now, Lord, what in the world, you know? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, how you gonna do this, God? And he says, you just do you.
Just do you.
Just do you. Be true to you and do you. And when I did, you know, I had gentlemen and those guys were just coming up to me saying, man, we really enjoyed that. Please come back. We feel really good. And honestly, if we could just take the time to get out of our own self and just move and just praise God. You know, if I was in here, I would say, yeah, I am in here. But if this was a church setting, I was like, look, let everything have breath. Praise the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he means, right? And so out there, just move. It's just my other way of saying praise God.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you move, you know, the very air that you're getting, you're now giving. And the very energy that you've given, you're now giving to him. You know, and so that's where I am, man. And you know, they enjoy it, and it makes, honestly, I think if a lot of companies would do that, they would actually have a healthy, functioning company.
Absolutely.
Because now they have the confidence to sell.
Yep.
They have the confidence to do all of these different things.
And think.
Yeah.
Like movement releases creativity, releases a lot of things, positive endorphins, all those things like that.
Yeah. It gets the brain, and you know, healthy brains, man, they need that exercise as well.
Yeah.
So in a lot of the ways that I teach, you know, I'm teaching things that's helping the brain development as well, especially with kids. Because I work with working with Arts Impact. I work with babies on up. You know, we're talking about toddlers, waddlers. Yeah. You know, I'm working with them as far as helping that brain development. You know, the sensory skills, or the fine and gross motor skills. You know? Kids are textural, so when we dance, you know, I do things that, you know, that open up that wave, that brain frequency to help them think and help their brain develop better. Guess what? Out there in the rich societies, they have stuff like this.
See, I really want to go there.
I know.
But I can't.
I know.
But
bro.
I want to.
I know.
And you just actually gave me a thought. You know, I got a buddy. He's a assistant principal in King County named Wayne Hoskins, and he's a close friend of mine too as well. I mean, that's my brother, right? He literally has been talking to me about like alternative ways of learning for years.
Wow.
And him and I, we used to work at the Boys and Girls Club and whatnot. And now he continued in the education field. He's actually got a baby coming on the way, his first one. So I'm pretty excited.
Wow.
But he is just like, he's so invested into that world. So I was just thinking, as you were talking, I was like, man, I got to get like, I feel like I can do a whole episode or a whole like just season just on like education and alternative learning and things like that, because I mean, there's so much richness within that too. And even in the gospel giving space, someone asked me, they said like, hey, is your church ADA accessible? I won't even go there. I'll leave you with that. I'm going to ask you for this. Give me the final word. Give me the final word. Cause we could stay on that one for a little bit.
For a long time.
Give me the final word. What if you had, I don't know, 30 seconds to say something to people you don't even know, what's the one thing you would leave them with?
30 seconds to talk to somebody about the one thing that they, wait a minute, say it one more time.
If you had 30 seconds to give information to people you don't even know, what's that 30 seconds of information you're going to give to them outside of the gospel?
I would tell them to feel free in the skin that you're in. That thing that you do well, do it with your whole heart. And whatever's from the heart is going to reach the heart. Period.
Sabian, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you too, man.
That was good stuff.